Greetings, fellow DC superfans. After getting educated in all things DCAU Batman, I've decided it's time to embark on a journey to the Arctic to learn about Superman, the animated series. Aiding me along the way is Blue Dragon 5.
That's right, folks. Like Jarrell, I'm serving as Tiki's pre-recorded guide through Superman the Animated Series, with the goal of shedding light and showing Tiki the way to better understand the history of the Last Son of Krypton.
Let's fly to the Fortress of Recaps and talk the Promethean. All right, Dre, I'm not even going to mix words with this one. This is my favorite episode of the show so far. Just hands
Pretty good,
down.
huh?
I fucking love this thing. I mean, the imagery is just top notch. The characterization of Superman is exactly what I want. Hamilton continues to be a star. And look, we even have a really fun cameo from Jimmy and Lois. So, yeah, I mean, the only thing that would make this maybe a little bit better is I do like the general character in the episode. Maybe if that character was Lex, then it would be just like the all-time, like, okay, this is a perfect episode at this point. But other than the lack of Lex, this is about as good as it gets for me. This is just a damn good Superman story. I honestly kind of feel like this is going to be a quick recap, just because, believe it or not, Dragon, this is one of the few times that I actually really, really liked an episode that's basically all fight.
Yep. All right, so a little context. So this was directed by Nobuo Tamazawa. This guy was a TMS animator. He worked on
Okay.
He worked on a lot of stuff like Lupin the Third, Little Nemo, and just he's a TMS guy, so he's gotten around in a lot of animes and stuff.
Interesting. Is this the first time like one of the people from the animation studio has directed?
No, it's not the first time, but it's probably like just kind of like a specific case of like a guy we haven't gotten to before getting that. But I think in the past we've had TMS animators who've been promoted to directors. So yeah.
All right.
So the writer on that, we had two of the best writers on this. We had Alan Burnett, of course, the wonderful, the mythical Alan Burnett did the Last Son of Krypton pilot, and Stan Berkowitz,
the writer of Burke.
Writer from Burke.
God.
Who did some of my favorite episodes, like the Way of All Flesh, and an episode you really liked, Two's a Crowd.
Oh yeah.
So studio worked on this.
By the way, Dragon, did you know that I don't really care for Mala?
Yeah, Tiki, I picked up on that. Yeah.
I just thought, like, what if Mala becomes the new, like, and you all know how much I don't like dill pickles.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh God. Anyways, go ahead.
Anyway, so the studio worked on this, as you probably guessed, were those three lauded legendary letters, TMS, baby. Of course, they did my favorites. They did A Little Piece of Home. They did Way of All Flesh. I love me some TMS. One of the best studio. Of course, famously, the studio that did the Clayface effects in Feet of Clay Part 2.
Which, I mean, as soon as I saw the design of the titular creature, I was like, yep, that's the Clayface people.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so look, there's not a lot of background on this. Just I guess the three notes to make here. So of course, Professor Hamilton and Superman's friendship continues to grow. It's kind of a biggie, and that's kind of. But looking back on the show, honestly, I kind of forgot I knew it was in there, but I thought it was more of like kind of sprinkled in there. Like obviously the infamous Mala episodes, like that was kind of a big one for Hamilton, and he just kind of pops up from time to time, and that still kind of might be the case.
But at this point, so far in the show, I think it's fair to say that he's like more prominent than Lois is.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I kind of forgot like how back to back Hamilton really was in the show. Because I mean, I know I liked Hamilton, and ultimately Hamilton has a really great payoff in the greater DCAU, and I knew that payoff. I just kind of forgot that that payoff didn't come out of nowhere. We really were, and I forgot looking back on we were really building a track with like Superman really trusts Professor Hamilton, and things might happen.
they were cooking with Hamilton, as the kids would say.
Yeah, as the kids would say, Tiki. Yes. So, big one, of course, Bruce Timm, his affinity for all things Jack Kirby. This episode with the Promethean himself, very Kirby inspired. Kirby loves big, craggly, just monstrous things, and that's definitely what we have going on here. So there's a lot of Kirby in the DNA of this episode. So I'm sure the Kirby love kind of spreads down Burnett as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, when we get to season 3 of Superman, it's back. It's all Kirby, man. It is Kirby up the yin yang.
Nice.
Okay, last one. We introduced General Hardcastle this episode. Now, remember that. General Hardcastle, I'm not going to say he's not going to come back as frequently as Professor Hamilton, but when he comes back, it's kind of a big deal. General Hardcastle, he is voiced by the wonderful Charles Napier. Now, Charles Napier, great character actor, and a character actor pretty much everyone knows for his role in Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
He was one of the 2 guards. He was the one who had all the speaking lines. So he was, Officer Boyle, not Peppery. Peppery was the face guy that, Hannibal Lecter used this face to get out. So the other guy, he was the other guy who was like, he was like, ah! It was like he was the guy getting beaten to death by Hannibal Lecter. That's him. But so he's in this, and Hardcastle, and an original character for the show, as far as I could double check research wise. So yeah, he is. I always thought he was.
Oh, okay. Yes, he said, like, I'm not really that familiar with Squidbillies, but I'm familiar enough that that checks out that he'd be the voice of the sheriff for sure.
Yeah. So you get it. All right, let's get into it.
Okie dokie. So yeah, I mean, like, I feel like this recap is going to go by pretty quickly because it's basically just one big scenario, but we start in space.
Yes. So we have basically, it's very much an Armageddon asteroid, which is just it's popping up a lot.
Very much so, yes.
At least we have an Armageddon asteroid situation, whereas basically it threatens about 10 million lives on Earth, starting in Metropolis if this thing hits. General Hardcastle, he's leading the mission with his crack team of basically his Affleck kind of drilling team, but they're actually military personnel, and Professor Hamilton. So we have it's a lot of the military ego of this guy does not want Superman's help with the problem at all. And it's kind of in parallel to the Batman argument, where Batman, the argument is like Batman's presence in Gotham is what creates the rogues gallery. They want to impress, like Riddler wants to, stump Batman. Joker has, his fatalistic relationship with Batman. You get Catwoman, you get the whole 9 yards of all the Batman rogues. Now, in contrast to that, now this is a very interesting with the character of Superman that we were kind of starting to bring up here. And we've kind of threaded the needle a little bit with it here, but this is where we're starting to really shadow it in there. Superman's presence in the world raises the question of mankind's complacency and their lack of self-reliance. Mm-hmm. The more Superman helps, the more mankind relies on him, and that's the fine line Superman has to
in a modern context, is Superman like AI?
Well, I mean, Superman actually helps, so I don't think so.
Yeah, fair.
Superman doesn't have extra fingers and just makes everyone paranoid, so I don't think so. Well, I guess he does make people paranoid, so maybe he's somewhat AI. I don't know. I mean, Jor-El's absolutely AI before AI had a name, but anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the point being, Superman is running late. They have this adorable bit. I love this bit. It's like Superman. It's like the Superman Hamilton friendship here. Just Superman. He shows up because
Yep.
So he shows up and he's like knocking on the glass, in his spacesuit that Hamilton made him, and he says, "Sorry, I'm late. There was an earthquake in Albania."
Fucking adorable. I love it.
Yep. So Superman's obviously the safer option for this mission. You don't have to risk the lives of American military. You don't have to put them in space. You don't have to put them in like an Affleck Armageddon situation, which we don't want. So that basically Hardcastle kind of gets shafted here. He and his company, and he's a little embittered by that. He is like, oh man, we had a crack mission and everything. We wanted to get out there, and it's like, no, you're Plan B. He's the contingency now. So Superman, he's taking these explosives. The plan is simple: just like plant these explosives on the asteroid, blow it up into a bunch of little pieces, so it'll burn up in the atmosphere. Earth is saved, etc. Again, Armageddon. I know I keep throwing it out there, but it's like the one-to-one. It was like the iconic pop cultural, like example.
You are not wrong. You are not wrong.
Year-wise,
it's kind of funny how the first half of or even like just the first third of the episode is Armageddon, then it suddenly turns into fucking kaiju.
Yeah. I want to give this is a TMS thing. I want to give credit to. Okay, the vacuum effect in space, like you kind of hear, like it's completely silent when Superman's like placing the explosives before you hear him on the intercom. So I mean, again, like the silence of space and the way they're animating space.
One of my favorite little details will come up later, but it's something that they do with the color of the costume. You probably know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll get to that.
Yeah, so anyway, so inside, Professor Hamilton and Hardcastle, they're having a conversation. They're basically debating the whole, and this is where Hardcastle's really putting on Front Street, how he feels, and by proxy, how the military might kind of feel about Superman, where basically, he's an alien. I like that Hardcastle... He's not. I like that Hardcastle. He's not Lex. He's not. That's kind of the thing. Well, if we put Lex in every episode, it's like we can't have Lex in every episode as like the the.
I know we already kind of have a stand-in for Bullock, but he's kind of like the military version of Bullock.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So Hardcastle, he seems, and I really give credit to the actor on this one. Again, Charles Napier. He's very, very good actor. And I think he really brings it. This is a man of authority and like honor and everything. But you get the sense that he's not trying to do stupid things. He's not trying to be, like a bad guy here. And he is making a kind of a fair argument, but it's not a nice argument. He says, Superman, he's an alien. He has no allegiance, no jurisdiction. And I like the hypocrisy of what he says here. He says, like, I don't trust what I can't control. And by definition, that isn't really trust, General Hardcastle. That's not trust if, you can control it.
right, yeah.
So I like there's the fallacy in his logic.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
That's the thing where, I get where the guy's coming from, at least from like the military complex kind of thing of like why like the authority kind of like why Superman is technically, it's the whole James Gunn kind of jar and pour situation thing where Superman sometimes he's affiliated, he's helping out the US, but he's not really, a designated representative, and that gives him leeway, but the fact that it gives him leeway means
a lot of shades of James Gunn Superman in this episode, like even down to the giant kaiju fight, obviously.
Of course. All right, let's see. So anyway, so while that conversation, basically, Professor Hamilton and Hardcastle are kind of like debating this. Obviously, a little thing I want to hit with Hamilton, but I want you to try and keep an eye out for this, assuming we see Hamilton more. Okay. There was always this animation
just drops off after this episode.
Well, that's a thing. I mean, we might have a bit of a dry spell with Hamilton. I don't know how big a dry spell, because I was wrong up to this point about how much Hamilton we've been getting.
For sure.
So the running gag with Hamilton is before he pops up in Justice League Unlimited. Throughout Superman the Animated Series, one of the things animation was his hair kind of changes color between, like, it kind of goes from shades of gray, because it's basically, it used to be like a brownish color, which is ultimately what they restored it to in JLU, but it kind of goes between the brown color and gray, and just kind of like different shades of gray. So if you kind of look, it's they kind of can't make up their mind with like how young to make them.
For sure.
Kind of like a grayish brown. I think it's supposed to be like a grayish brown, but it kind of goes between the brown and just gray, and I don't know. Anyway, it's a little thing to see the consistency on that. I don't know if you go back, you might see it kind of shift color already, because I think this episode may have been where it started, but I'm not sure. Anyway. So, point being, while that's happening, Superman, he ends up not blowing up the asteroid. He tells him, you guys have to see this. There is a big emphasis on big complication. On the other side of the asteroid, chained to it, there is a Promethean. A giant alien.
Just the imagery here, the design, the scale of it, it's so freaking cool, dude.
Yeah,
everything about this is so cool.
It is such a Kirby design, man. Even the chains are Kirby, man. There's a reason we went with it for the image here, kids. It's just the big.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I would be very, very sad if you went with anything else for the image. Honestly,
I mean, also again, the image is evocative of the whole Prometheus thing too. The idea of like the ambition, that kind of like punish for the ambition, for all the all the buzzards to be eating your guts away and everything. That whole thing. So obviously we're not going that far with it, but still. Okay, anyway, so the point being, we have this there's an alien life form that we confirm is like it's a living thing. There's a heartbeat. There's a very low heat signature, which is important for our plot, and it's chained to the asteroid. So this brings about the next debate, the big debate of it. Basically, the debate is shifted from Superman to a different alien, which I really like in our writing here. So the conversation is still about what do we do about alien life interfering in our lives in kind of the sci-fi setting of Superman here. Or Hardcastle's saying, well, let it die. It's an alien. It's slated for death upon reentry anyway. With this, we don't have to risk millions of lives, and it's kind of Hardcastle, again, while being a little insensitive to the other alien in the room, he kind of has a point. Like, this thing is...
At the same time, like, look at this from... If this were to happen in real life, if there was, like, just, like, literally, like, a planet-sized fucking rock kaiju monster hurtling towards Earth, you'd want the government to destroy it, probably, no?
That's the thing. I mean, so Hardcastle has a point. Again, it's kind of an insensitive point, but here's the difference for me. Okay, Hardcastle is not entertaining the notion of Superman helping, which does definitely change the situation. He's there operating on our orders, or destroy this thing no matter what, and he's just thinking in black and white like that. He's not thinking about complications or improvising on the mission, or the fact that, hey, we have Superman who's an asset here. He might be able to help find a third option. Mm-hmm. So Superman, in doing so, he proposes, okay, look, let's push the asteroid for a safe landing, and we'll take it from there. And Hamilton's on board for this plan. He says, okay, just adjust the trajectory 5 degrees, which is, again, plan's going great until sunlight awakens the Promethean. Initially, you're thinking maybe it's just the light that's waking him up, but it's actually the heat that's waking him up. It raises his body temperature. And this is where we get all the Kirby look and the Kirby scale as it's starting
scale is just fucking phenomenal, dude. Like, the scale seriously looks like something out of, like, a big budget, like, 2D animated movie.
Yeah. I mean, do you remember, like, the side shot where it's, like, reaching for the, it's reaching for freedom? Oh, man. It's just... So he's starting to thrash around the asteroid, and we have a big moment here where Hardcastle, he very trigger happy. He's like, okay. And again, I like that it's not fully, like, Hardcastle... His thing is like, okay, this thing's going to cause a problem. It's ruined the trajectory. We gotta destroy it now. Again, he's not listening to reason. Like, hey, Superman might be able to contain it, and he's just going for. He detonates the charges, and I love that Hamilton's saying, "But but Superman's there. You're going to blow up Superman," which obviously Superman's going to be fine, but they don't. I think, as we see later, the bigger concern: Superman is wearing a spacesuit. That spacesuit could get damaged. He might be. He might suffocate. So there is a danger. And Hardcastle, this is where Hardcastle loses all the goodwill, though. He says, hey, this wasn't his party to begin with. It's like, hey, he was invited. Hardcastle, come on.
Right.
He showed up late. He's going to blow him up for showing up late. Just so
he's
cold
like
and
every really bad college professor dragon.
Yeah. No arguments there.
Dragon, I've had college professors that will literally lock the door the second that the class starts.
Do you remember that Drake and Josh episode where they had that team? No, it wasn't college, but do you remember
Drake and Josh was a little bit a little bit after my time.
Drake and Josh, they had an episode where they had a teacher that kind of did that sort of thing, and it was like it's a famous episode, kind of a dark. Everyone loves it. It's this thing where Josh has kind of had too much, and he basically says, "I'm done with you." And he's very, very grown up, mature.
Okay, I know exactly what episode you're talking about through pop culture osmosis. Yeah,
and that's the one where Drake was like, he was kind of on a downward spiral. And he's like showing up like at the last second of the class because he knows it's going to be locked, that kind of thing. Anyway, but yeah, I hate those kinds of teachers. I had a teacher that traumatized me with punctuality when I was in 3rd grade for lateness. So I
relate. 3rd fucking grade, dude?
Yes, 3rd grade. Yes.
Okay, at that point, if you're late, it's probably the parents' fault. It's probably you got caught in traffic or something.
No, that was exactly the thing. With traumatizing words, the teacher said,
"Oh no!
If you're gonna be late, don't bother showing up."
Oh wow! Wow, what a dick.
Third
You're a
grade.
fucking third grader. Wow. You were what, like 9 maybe?
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh man.
Anyway, so the explosions, the charges destroy the asteroid, which frees the creature completely. Superman ends up because of this. Superman has to save the rocket from the debris of the asteroid, which is going to destroy it. So while he's saving them, the creature is now hurtling towards the Earth, and Superman can't do anything to stop it now.
Also, really quick, I just need to get this out there. That episode of Drake and Josh is basically the same plot as the Banshees of Inisherin, which I find hilarious.
Oh.
Anyways. Yeah, it's literally like two longtime best friends, and one of them's like, "Hey, I don't want to be friends with you anymore." That's literally the catalyst of the plot for that movie. You should see that movie if you haven't. Colin Firth, Carrie Condon has a fucking excellent performance in that movie. Anyways,
Hey, let's see. So it's now free. It's hurtling to Earth. Superman saves the rocket from the debris in the asteroid. By the way, great act break of like it's coming to Earth, and that's the end of Act 1. It's like that's a great act break.
Oh yeah, it's an awesome act break. Yeah.
So Superman tries steering it towards the ocean to avoid Metropolis, and we see like this really cool effect on the suit where he's in the like the re-entry of the atmosphere, and the spacesuit just completely melts off.
I love the colorization when the spacesuit melts, like the pink hue of it. It's so, again,
TMS.
very very Jack Kirby color palette even.
Oh yeah, very TMS. The way that motion, like the way the suit melts off too. I love that. They do the gooey effects are cripple animation studios, but not TMS. Even Pixar with Gooey Jack Jack, it took them many years to correct the Gooey Jack Jack effect. Goo is an animator's nightmare second to horses.
I know it's not goo per se, but it kind of reminds me of the infamous shot of the pouring milk in Shrek.
Yeah. God. Early liquids, kids. Early liquids. It's why we had to cheat the rain in Toy Story. If you really think about it, in Toy Story, the rain, it's pretty much, it's almost like it's like one of those like waterfall things. You have like an office or something. It's they cheat.
Right.
Anyway,
but you know what? I've said it before. I'll say it again. The advancement in technology from now until then is exactly why we need a fucking Bugs Life sequel. Like, if Pixar is gonna do sequels, that is the one to do. All right, that's all I'm saying.
Right.
I desperately want a Bugs Life sequel.
I would love to. Wouldn't it be real quick? Wouldn't it be like just a really charming moment in history of just an animation history if you had like a groundswell, like someone did like a movement and hashtags and like a whole marketing blitz, like from the layman, like like the armchairs, just like saying like we want Bugs Life 2, and everyone across the era just suddenly said we want hashtag Bugs Life 2, or or like I guess hashtag Bugs Life with 2 spelled TOO, like we want it too. And just everyone demands it, and like they go back into like all the like the Incredibles promo, and they add like also a Bugs Life, just like showing the love and support of like we demand this now.
No, but it's like seriously, Pixar is like dead set on doing sequels, and that's one of the few franchises they haven't touched. Do it, you cowards. Anyways.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, anyway, Superman tries steering it, suit melts off. Then we have like on the ground level, we have the shooting star gag where like we have these people. It's broad daylight. It's like, hey, look, a shooting star. Then we have the Lois and Jimmy cameo, which brings down the house.
Okay. I know it's a fart joke, but I still really, really appreciate it. I think this is very tastefully done. Bathroom.
Only Dana Delaney could deliver a joke like this.
Yes.
Well. So Jimmy,
it's a classic Lois Lane line, honestly.
So Jimmy teased this up so well. So they hear like the crashing sound. The Daily Planet. Jimmy says sonic boom, earthquake, and Lois just comes in with the kill, saying maybe Perry had chili for lunch again.
Perfect.
Good. See, folks, bathroom humor and fart jokes, it can work, but it's got to be done really well and not like in a way it's like it takes you out of it. It's like, okay, Lois would say that. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. So Superman he saves this cruise liner from the impact site. Saves it from this giant tidal wave that swoops in from like the initial crash. The moment, the Promethean's impact caused. So later we have Superman. Amazingly, the Promethean kind of disappears. So Superman he puts on the scuba suit, which again, admittedly, we had him in the space suit. We have him in the scuba suit. In part, it's to sell toys. People they really want people.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So anytime you see Superman in those costumes, it's basically there was a mandate for toys, but they found a way to legitimize it in the show. You'll notice Batman never quite had that, though. They stood firm. Batman was like a thing that was out of their control.
That's what live action Batman was for, baby.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, the animated series, their toy line, basically, they got to remember, the animated series toy line was basically what they molded for '89, but then they adjusted it slightly to be the animated series. But it was the same premise of like we had Batman and Bruce Wayne, all sorts of variant costumes that he would never in a million years would actually wear.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They just made all of that in the animated series. They never really showed up, and admittedly, though,
I remember grabbing a couple like really weird offshoot Batman things when I was a kid.
Yeah, I'll give them this though. The animated series, their toys at least had variety, and there was like effort that was put into it. But it was like effort in terms of like the villains, they got the effort. Batman, it was like all sorts of variants because everyone needs a Batman figure, and we can't just. They never made like a straight Batman figure. They only made like one or two, but it was like a billion variants. It was never like, hey kids, here's just like base Batman. This is what he looks like from the show. There's like one figure maybe if you were lucky, and then usually that figure had like the silver paint job and not just the gray. It was a whole. Anyway. Point being, that one was out of the control of the show. This one's like, okay, look, we might as well play ball because we lost the battle on Batman. Let's just actually give him suits that he would wear that they're going to buy. So, exactly. Superman's in the scuba suit, searching for the Promethean. Tracks the footprints. The Promethean grabs this submarine. Big Kirby moment. Grabs a submarine, and he's draining the heat and power from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Superman saves the sub. Good on Superman. He was really hungry. No, I'm just kidding. He saves the sub.
God.
So Professor Hamilton. Professor Hamilton, he's been working on cracking this binary code that was attached to the restraints of the Promethean creature. That basically was like a warning. So he decoded it finally, and it reveals the origin, a little flashback origin on the Promethean. It was a synthetic being designed for labor on a large, huge, large building like skyscraper like scale, and it was fueled by heat from the sun. It was solar powered essentially, kind of like Superman. But it desired more. This is a Berkowitz idea, man. It could have been Alan Burnett as a starting point. But this feels like a Berkowitz carry across the finish line kind of sequence where the idea that this was again it's a robot essentially, and the robot it basically kind of it's not really getting sentience, but it's sort of like we've humanized the programming of the robot, and it has like a power. It's turned into a villain because it's literally power mad, but not it's out of its control. It just needs to feed. It needs more power because it's doing work, and it's kind of I'm reading into it, mind you, but in parallel to Superman. Again, Superman solving the world's problems. We've built a giant machine to solve our problems and do things quicker and make the job easier. But again, there comes at a cost.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So it basically became kind of evil by kind of complacency of the things that built it. So Professor Hamilton, now they know it's definitely powered by heat, and that's where it's going. So it's not going to hurt anyone. It's basically going to go to places to absorb heat, which is it's good to know. It's not going to kill people. So Professor Hamilton offers a solution. This basically he synthesized the chemicals that are in cold packs, which is something for the layman viewer, and I love that they put that in there. It's like, this is how we can flash freeze something. It's basically having a cold pack. It's what makes it like not the non-antifreeze material. For insta-freeze, and we demonstrated a really cool flash freeze kind of effect. It looked really neat. All right, so meanwhile, so Promethean, so they're cooking up, the Professor Hamilton's cooking up some flash frozen treats. Promethean is on land, and the military are just attacking it, which means firing all the weapons and nukes and fire bombs they can, which means more heat, which is bad. And then we have a great scene with Superman. Tiki, tell them about the scene.
Oh God. I'm sorry, Dragon. I'm kind of blanking on exactly the moment you're talking about. My bad.
Okay, so Superman arrives, and she's just desperately trying to spell this out to Hardcastle, who just completely ignores Superman.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
Again, this is unfortunately, folks. It's still to this day, but especially in the '90s and the early 2000s, military-industrial complex. Their instinct is to blame the other guy. So here it's like he blames all of this on Superman and that crackpot Hamilton for deviating from the plan. It's not Hardcastle's fault for blowing him up, for literally pulling the trigger when no one said fire. The idiot freed him with explosives, and Superman saying, "I talked to Hamilton. This thing is fueled by fire. You're feeding it. That's why it's not moving right now."
Yeah, right, Superman. You're an alien.
Yeah, so
you don't have feelings. That's not a thing.
Not a thing.
God.
So Hardcastle is called in the NX missile, which basically, I love this, that we spell it out completely. The NX missile burns hotter than napalm. He really is kind of a moron in this scene. It's like, okay, just on the off, Hardcastle you can see you're not making
needed to happen.
No, he's right. I'm just saying, it's the Hardcastle. Like, you can see it's not making a divot in this thing. It's just standing there. It's not going down. No cries of pain. Nothing. So just on the off chance that maybe this isn't working, maybe we should try something different to make a move. He says, "No, we'll have us a barbecue," which is a great Charles Napier delivery, but it's like,
that is a really good delivery, yeah.
And then in response to that line, we have what we like to refer to as the Daily Tim.
Oh, okay. What is it? Because it might be the same one I'm thinking of.
So obviously, the napalm thing doesn't work. It's on the move, and basically, Superman's basically about to show him that it didn't work. He says, "Better hold off on the marshmallows."
Yeah, that was my Daily Tim as well.
Yeah,
we clocked it.
All right, so he absorbed all the fire, and I love this too. As he's walking through, he's actually cleaning up the mess where he's absorbing the fire that is like all the landscapes and the trees and everything are on fire. So he's absorbed it. He's walking towards the city for more power, because he's tracing the sword. And honestly, here's the thing. He's not even just going towards the city. He's going towards the city because the military are in front of the city. And he's like, "Hey, those guys are feeding me. I would like more of that." So he's walking towards
Right, exactly.
So Superman ends up saving Hardcastle's men and Hardcastle himself. And it takes that, which, by the way, is awesome. Him saving Hardcastle was the xenophobic general. And it takes that for Hardcastle to begrudgingly says, "Hold your fire."
Yeah, Hardcastle and Superman, they do have like quite a fun little mini arc throughout the episode for sure.
Like Hardcastle saw Man of Steel, he knows, like, okay, saved one of the military guys, we're okay now.
Right.
That's how it works. So classic. This is great. This is kind of a throwback. I'm convinced it's a throwback image. So Superman, he's talking to Hamilton over a military radio, and he's just flying, holding the radio. Reminds me of the old wartime Superman comics from the 40s and kind of the mid 40s, I guess, where you saw Superman I know Darwin Cook did a throwback where he had Superman holding the camera watching the bombs drop. So it was kind of like one of those things where Superman with tactical kind of something you would have if Superman was on the war front. So I don't know. To me, I thought it was a neat little throwback image.
I could see that for sure.
Just throwing it out there.
Yep.
So yeah, he's talking to Hamilton. He basically tells him to get the chemical to the reservoir. I'll lure him there. That's the plan right now. Superman's going to cleverly lure the Promethean to where the chemical is. So then we have this clever. Our third act's it's nice and simple, and it's Superman again, something we've been seeing frequently. He's dealing with kaiju's. He's dealing with a big old kaiju, but non-violently.
As you do.
Non-violently, which is again how Superman operates. He's not trying to hurt this thing, even though it's a robot, which is impressive.
Honestly, Dragon, there are some big shades between this and the James Gunn scene. Like,
yeah,
you think on some level, do you think maybe James Gunn took some influence?
I would like to think so. I mean, here's the thing: if Mercy were in the James Gunn Superman now, she's technically not, because we kind of we kind of have her role filled by the engineer in that movie. Had we not done that, I would say without a question that James Gunn watched Superman the Animated Series and pulled stuff from there. But I mean, you'll know in that movie he pulled from a lot of Superman sources. I mean, they're clear.
He did, yeah.
I'll give you this, okay? This is a visual thing. The way Lois Lane dresses, there's a lot of purple in places. The purple is a nod to Superman the Animated. Like, that's a lot of the purple Lois stuff. That's that's Superman the Animated Series. So I would like to think, But in general, honestly, the big one is like kind of him scaling Superman's powers back is pretty much like how Superman was, kind of scaled back in Superman the Animated Series in terms of what his power level is. So
sure.
Pretty much that minus
it's the first Superman movie where Superman pretty handily just gets his ass handed to him like consistently.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Okay, let's see, but yeah, I mean, him non-violently dealing with the kaiju again. There's a lot. I would be shocked if James Gunn did not pull elements, or at least wasn't thinking about Superman. I mean, he's clearly thinking about Batman the Animated Series on Creature Commandos, so it would stand to reason,
That's true for sure.
I don't know. Okay, let's see. So, but yes, this is a really classic thing. Superman, he's being very clever and kind of smart about how he's dealing with the kaiju, because he knows this thing's like non-violent, and he's luring a giant thing safely to a place where it can be dealt with. So, the creature is heading to a smelting plant because it wants molten hot stuff. Superman kind of gets into a little fight with the guy there just to kind of get him out of there. Hamilton. He basically helps Superman out with the plan by blacking out the city, so he creates a direct path to the reservoir, which is great. And Superman, he basically uses heat vision on this metal beam at the smelting plant, and almost like dangling like a match is like a moth to a flame, like leading him to the reservoir, I love that so much. And the TMS animation on Superman, like kind of reheating the metal to create the little light. That's a TMS.
It's really good, like kind of like illogical, like superhero logic. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, it just makes sense. It just checks out.
Absolutely. Also, I think TMS loves molten hot metal, because if I remember, they did that.
That is one of their things for sure. Yeah, I think you're right about that.
I'm just saying, remember that My Girl episode with no, not the one where Macaulay Culkin dies.
He can't see without his glasses.
Clark can't see without his glasses. Lana, I'm fine. Don't milk it. Anyway, no. But the Lana Lang episode, we had the third act where he's in the very Flesher Superman moment. He kind of gets encoded in the molten thing. I'm pretty sure TMS did that episode, so it's molten smelting plant anyway.
Oh,
right. So he lures the creature to the reservoir. It almost works. The creature, he's about to go into the water, but then I love this very prolific, very Kirby-esque moment. The creature sees the moon. He wants the moon. There's something symbolic there. He wants it all. He wants the moon. So Superman, he gets caught. He's in the grip of the creature, and very cleverly, and this is I love how TMS did this, because they rack focus with the camera and everything, where Superman, he looks over and there's this boat in the water, and he uses the supervision to see the gas cans, and he lights it on fire. Creature is like, "Hey, fire!" Almost like Frankenstein, And at the end of having
yeah.
It's kind of a reverse Frankenstein. He walks towards the flame. He's in the water, so Hamilton starts the flash freezing process by releasing the chemical. Superman escapes the last second, so he doesn't get frozen. He would have been fine if he were frozen, but he escaped, thank goodness.
He was frozen today.
He almost was.
I couldn't resist.
So then we have the frozen hand sticking out, which the Eternals may or may not have.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, dude. You know I was wondering about that.
Okay, you know what's funny about that, though? Remember, okay, so the Eternals, if I have my timelines here right, I want to say I do. The Eternals was the start of Jack Kirby's Fourth World stuff, which is what all Superman Season 3 is basically going to be doing, all the Fourth World's the new gods and everything. So all that is what Superman Season 3 is going to be wall to wall. Now, so Kirby was in the midst of that. The Eternals was kind of like the start of that, and then Marvel ultimately, between how they were treating him, and I think just creatively they weren't liking the Eternals. I'm not saying Eternals was the final straw, but it was like an example of they weren't thrilled with Kirby doing his own thing. And Kirby went to DC, and he basically brought over his Fourth World stuff, and that's basically where I'm not saying he just the Eternals was the new gods, but essentially he's crazy. I want to do the new gods, and they said, well, of course we want to steal Marvel's top talent. Go nuts, Jack. Do whatever you want. Work on those Superman. And so with that, I mean, the Eternals is a Jack Kirby thing, which is why the Eternals, with the scale of like the Celestials are full on it's like very Galactus in what Kirby did. So it's a lot of new god stuff. So there is a kind of a link there with like something you'd see from the Eternals kind of making its way into Superman here. It's kind of a Kirby link. So like I wouldn't be surprised if there's
it's definitely interesting for sure. It's almost kind of like a snake eating its own tail situation, right? Where it's like this was inspired by Jack Kirby, and then Jack Kirby and then it kind of loops back around to this maybe possibly inspiring the Eternals.
Yeah. I would not be surprised if there's like an Eternals comic or something from the Fourth World stuff with a hand sticking out, like the creature being defeated that Kirby drew that the Eternals either pulled from, or maybe it wasn't like deep cut Eternals that no one ever read. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Possible. Anyway, so we have the creatures like submerged with the hand sticking out, and then we end on a really nice, kind of somewhat prolific Promethean image, if you will. The hand reaching out kind of to the moon. So it's kind of like there's a lot of things.
Yeah, no, I really like how we don't even really have like a coda or anything. We don't really have like a line to go out on. I really like the visual storytelling of it. It kind of just lets the image speak for itself a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, you can read it in many ways. I mean, you kind of read it as it's like he's reaching for the moon. It's like never satiated. He's from the stars. Maybe he kind of wanted to go home again. It's kind of again, man's complacency. It's like, a little bit kind of the stuff from earlier. So the idea that he was a result of man's complacency, and he just wanted he wanted the simple drive of man. He just wanted more. He wanted, shooting for the moon. He just wanted more and never endingly, which is why he needed to be stopped. That kind of
more.
Stuff. Yes, more.
I'm sorry. I'm in like my meme phase today, apparently.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking insert clips like I'm the nostalgia critic.
And just me. That's all you can think of. But that's the episode.
All right. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I didn't really there's not really a ton to break down because it's just really cool sci-fi shit, really good action, great animation. I mean, I am looking forward to kind of I do feel like some of our more traditional Superman characters, like the trio of Lex, Jimmy, and Lois, I am looking forward to seeing more of them because I do think, obviously, especially Lex, but all three of them are great. But Clancy Brown, I want to see more Clancy Brown. Who doesn't want to see more Clancy Brown all the time in anything? But I do really like the fact that this series, it's not relying on that kind of established Superman mythos. As a matter of fact, you very much went out of your way to say they're kind of trying to avoid it, maybe too much in certain elements. Like the Mala episode, for example.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate it, though. I do appreciate that the show, it's much more focused on the sci-fi element of Superman than I was anticipating. I'm digging it so far.
Yeah. Again, this one's for sure an underrated Superman episode for sure. I mean, no one ever talks about the Promethean. I can promise you that. And it's a shame again, like Superman like thriving in the sci-fi, which again, all the guys making the show, that's really what they're trying to do. Like Paul Dini, he loved like that 50s kind of sci-fi era Superman as far as like the comic stuff they were bringing to life. It's basically a combination of that. Ultimately, the show is kind of like a love letter to that and the George Reeves Superman.
For sure.
Is in terms of like what you can do from a storytelling structure. The Adventures of Superman was very much directly, that was like the way you serialize Superman, in kind of a week to week structure. I mean, by serialize, I mean like do it almost like a movie serial, but like as a show in which there's a formula built in, but there's kind of some clever like little neat things you can do with it, but then apply the history of comics that we weren't able to do on that show. And you kind of have a really interesting, kind of marriage there. So it becomes kind of something new that people haven't seen when everyone, their mother, knows the Christopher Reeve movies like the back of their hand, both, the great stuff like the first movie and the dumb stuff like the Superman kiss, thanks to Richard Lester. So that kind of stuff.
God.
Anyway, the point being, we have a lot of fresh experiences for anyone watching Superman the Animated Series like this. So, yeah.
It's almost like a show like this is catered to a recap podcast for someone who hasn't seen a lot of it.
Maybe.
All right. Anyways, take a sec.
Just maybe. All right. Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Participating in a race to answer the age-old question. Superman battling bad weather. Superman. Turning up, teaming up with another hero to save the day.
On the next visit to the Fortress of Recaps with Speed Demons. Does this hero that he's teaming up with like Brunch by any chance, Dragon?